Well, let me give you a Unit 1 orientation from the home page, and this is for Section 1. I also have Section 30. But from here, things align pretty well. You'll see a way to contact me. Feel free to email with any questions. You can also email through the Canvas. This is Section 1. I'll have a Zoom session Monday from 7 to 8. For Section 30, I'll have a Zoom section from 8 to 9. And I think the rest of this stuff is pretty much the same right now. So, this is the topic of the class. Well, actually, I should explain the Golden Pinocchio. It's an award given for somebody who tells unusually good lies about climate change. And a certain person in our national political life was awarded that in 2018. But that person's not alone. That's what the heart of the class is about, how there are millions and millions and millions of dollars put out by the fossil fuel industry to spread lies about climate change, a big disinformation campaign. It's alternately infuriating and kind of awesome. I mean, this is really some deeply, deeply thought out lying. It's stunning, it's disastrous, it's all of the above. And that's going to be the heart of our course. So usually I'll have kind of at the beginning of each unit, and this is Unit 1, which will go for the first 3 weeks, I'll have an introductory YouTube like this on the home page. But I want to stick mostly with navigation right now, because this thing could go on for a week and a half if I didn't do that. You'll get a link to Unit 1. This will be identical in both classes. For this unit, it'll change a bit when we get into, I believe it is Unit 3. But right now, we're kind of on the same time frame here. So it'll link to Unit 1. You'll see the module, Week 1, PIQ and preparation, and then it'll be Week 2, and then Week 3. Those are the 3 modules for Unit 1. And at the top of each module, I'll have a description of the main assignment, which with this week will be the personal insight question. It's what people write 4 of them to get into UC. Many people who take 101C are UC bound. I started this about 15 or more years ago. And usually about half the class is thinking, oh, wow, I'm going to have to write one of those. And now, don't worry, if you're not writing a personal insight question, write to the one of the 8 prompts that best suit you, and I'll help you polish that. You could use it as a cover letter. You could also use it perhaps towards an internship or something else. It's just learning how to get yourself on paper is very valuable, and it's also a good way for me to get to know you. I've been doing this for years. So, you learn how to present yourself on paper. We can work on concision, focus, all those writer things that are going to help you in the term. And then I have the activities at the bottom of the home page. We have a discussion based on an excellent personal insight question. Actually, it's more of a Common App. It's a bit longer. But an Ohlone College student who got out of high school with a D average and after graduating from Berkeley went on to medical school. I don't know how many drafts we did, but boy, this thing got polished near the end. So you see what it really looks like when they're, really finished and perfect. Okay, and then we're going to have you read his, and then you're going to be submitting a discussion post, an analytic one on that wonderful model. Then you're going to respond thoughtfully to 2 of your classmates. And then at the end of the week, Thursday, you're going to write a personal insight question. And Friday and Saturday, I'm going to read all of yours. I'll return with a voice thread. Very few people will get 50 points on the first draft, but this is something I want you to revise up to 50 points. So you'll take my voice thread, you'll edit it, and then in a couple of weeks, you'll share it with a group. After Essay 1 is handed in, you'll share your polished PIQ with a small group, and that'll be the next iteration. And I'm hoping between now and the end of this very short summer term that you get a perfectly polished personal insight question. If it's any consolation, people spend hundreds of dollars to get the kind of help I'm giving you. This is the same sort of thing you'd do if you hired somebody to help you with a resume. It's good stuff. I enjoy doing it. I get to learn a lot about the people in my class, and at the same time I get to teach them some of the things I know about writing. So this should be a good way to get off to a start. Anyway, enough of that. I don't want to get too much into content. At the bottom of each orientation, then, and by the way, at the top of this orientation, pardon me, bottom of this orientation, you're going to have the weekend homework for the next week. And so check it out. It's going to be about 6 hours you're going to have to get under your belts by week 2. There's a link to week 2 if you want to peek ahead. But if not, just kind of walk through week 1. It's pretty sequential. An explanation page, the first activity. You get inside that discussion forum, which we'll see in a second. There are simple instructions for that. And you have another activity, and when you get inside that discussion forum, there's simple instructions. And here we are. The first one. Instructions, pretty straightforward, pretty clear. And with that, I always include, since it's in response to things in this discussion, respond to 2 classmates' responses, 5 points each. So that'll all be in that first discussion forum. One is due Tuesday, the response is due Wednesday. So just keep that in mind. And you've got a rubric here if you want. You can click on those 3 dots. Usually I have them. Click on the dots, show rubric. I don't always have them, but usually I have some kind of a model. It's just not always in the rubric. All right, and then we get to writing your own PIQ. You've submitted to a discussion forum. You've responded to 2 of your classmates. Now we're into writing the PIQ. You have the UC PIQ prompts, and then you have the link, the draft of it. And I mentioned that the final draft will be 350 words, but don't get hung up on word count for the first draft. Just get that story down. Get that thing where you're the center of the action and it really shows you, revealing who you are. Now, then we scoot on over to the assignment for the PIQ, and then, well, there's always going to be a recap at the end of the week. All right. What did we do? Showed up ready. Shared ideas about how model PIQs were focused. Wrote your first PIQ. Received constructive feedback from me for revising the PIQ. I got a couple of typos here, but I'm going to leave it. And then you have homework for week 2. And this is where it starts loading up. You've got about 3 hours on a movie. You've got a 25-page chapter that's fairly dense. You're going to have 3 discussion postings in week 2. You're going to respond to 3. And then finally, you've got some extra credit work, which isn't just fluff. It's actually the kind of work that'll really make for a stronger first essay. I don't have any redundancy here. Everything you're doing with the readings, all your discussion posts, everything is keeping a focused, critical angle that'll help you shape your first essay. So I don't get a lot of wasted time here, not busy. Kind of a straight line here. And then here I actually link it, homework and preparation for week 2, just to remind you that it takes some time. And then here, as you watch the movie, you see how it works. You've got, it's kind of an unusual assignment, but I want you to push pause at the end of each scene, 4 minutes and 35 minutes in, push pause, answer this question. And same thing here. After those 6.5 minutes, answer this question. And because what's going to happen after you answer those 35 questions is that you're going to have a quiz on Tuesday of week 2 where you'll be assigned 5 of those questions randomly, and you won't have time to go back to the movie. You only have 30 minutes. So you may be able to go back and check on one or the other, but mostly you're going to need some good notes in front of you, scene by scene, because you don't know which of those five of those 22 or 23 scenes you're going to be given a question on. It's the only way I know to get people to really watch a movie carefully, and at the same time this movie really provides first-rate context for the book. So I'd really recommend, setting aside that time, and I think you'll enjoy the movie too. Anyway, that's at the end of week 1. I'm just going through week 2's homework already. But I happen to link it with week 1 because I want to remind you that the weekend's got its demands. And then as we move into week 2, I'm not going to go through the whole thing now. I'm just going to remind you it's a similar layout. We have the objectives, how come we're doing this, the assessment activities, all those discussion posts, and then looking ahead to week 3. All right, and so this is all the homework coming on in week 3. And so that's going to be a normal orientation. What are we doing? Why are we doing it? What are the activities? And then what's going on in the following week. Now, I didn't link to week 3. I guess I can do that. But at the same time, it is there. It's the modules there. And you just get an idea, about 15 hours. And I repeat it 3 times, about 15 hours in week 3, because I want you to know you've got a long chapter, 45 pages, 4 to 5 hours for the discussions. You've got classroom discussions and sample paragraphs and, extra credit discussions. And that's at least a couple hours. And then you have an essay due Friday, week 3, and that's going to be 8 hours. Keep in mind that I don't want to get too far ahead here, but you might have a few extra days on that too if you're too busy during the week. So, in a nutshell, that's it. I'll just use this as kind of a reminder of what the first week is about. You'll get an orientation. What are we doing? How come we're doing it? What are the activities? And then I'll give you a peek ahead so you know what the following week is like. Basically, I'm trying to gear you towards that, keep some time open in your weekends because there's going to be a lot of homework each week in this fast-paced class. If you have any questions, feel free to send them. I hope this helps you get a sense of where we're going, okay?